Awesome. Okay, hello and welcome to another webinar. Over the last few months, you've had the opportunity to join myself and Kirsty in some webinars, just aiming to help you get more out of your Prospect CRM. They're still available online. We do have the previous webinars on our YouTube channel. We're happy to send those out in a link if anyone would like them. We'll be looking to prepare more content going into 2024 with myself, Kirsty, and also Daniela, who's new to the customer success team. So plenty heading your way. We have already had some questions that have been submitted, so we'll aim to do another Q&A at the end of this session as always. We also have Jess on the call to keep an eye on any new questions as they come in. For those who don't know me, very short bit, my name's Alex. I've been with Prospect for 5.5 years, 18 months now. I've been with the Access Group since the acquisition of Prospect. I've had a few positions here, including support, onboarding, and CSM. So hopefully enough exposure to the report builder for today's session. For today's session, we're going to be looking at some of the reports Prospect has on offer, as well as some reports you may want to try build yourself. I have a few reports I've actually been requested to help customers with over the last few weeks, and I thought it'd be a great sort of thing to share with you today, as they're genuine requests that Prospect has been able to fulfill with the report builder. I'll aim to keep this within about 30 minutes. We might spill over that if we have quite a few questions in the Q&A, but I'll try not to hold you hostage all afternoon. So today, the agenda is we'll be looking to cover the power of reporting and why this is so important. We're looking at some pre-made reports. Many years of experience from both Prospect and from our customers have gone into these reports, and we're always building more. We'll be looking at some new reports through Prospect as well, and actually building them ourselves as well, which will be the main focus today. This will come with the functionality as well, so filtering, grouping, collection filters, and sorting, and those kind of things as well. Before we go into a demo, I just wanted to sort of cover why we think reporting is so important. Reporting holds importance in various aspects of your business for several reasons. Almost all decisions ever made, both in work, personally, out of work, everything comes from some kind of data and logic, and reporting is proactively seeking out this data. Whether it's to learn about what's happening in your business or to make decisions, using Prospect reports sort of come with a whole host of benefits, including, as just mentioned, data-driven decision-making. Using important data and analysis can aid in decision-making. You can help to assess the performance of individuals, teams, or even the whole organization. Reporting can help promote a sense of clear accountability and establish a record of activities. When analyzing reports, areas for improvement can be identified, creating opportunity for enhancements throughout your organization. Reporting can include customer data and feedback as well, offering insights into customer behavior, preferences, and even their satisfaction with your business and your trade with them. And historical data can be used in setting goals and plans for growth and development in the future. In essence, we believe reporting is sort of really important, very vital for everyone who's listening, really, as it proves an understanding of your performance, guides decision making, and helps in continuously improving your customer experience and your team internally too. So that's the boring bit done. No one likes PowerPoint. We'll get rid of that pretty sharpish and head straight into the demo system. So we'll use this system quite a lot. I think it's been for all of the webinars so far, but just to introduce it again, this is the That's My Jam profile. For those unfamiliar or new to us today, this is a fictional company that sells jams and jam jars, jam making equipment, just to sort of set the scene here so you understand some of the data we'll be looking at today. And we'll use this profile to showcase some of our standard reports, how to build reports, and use some of that functionality that I've mentioned. So we'll start off with some standard reports. The main focus, again, will be reporting and building reports, but I just want to familiarize ourselves as well. So I'm going to start with a nice, easy one. On this left-hand side, in people and places, we have companies. And I just thought I'd show you this just to sort of set the scene a little bit here. So across the top, you've got your fields, which appear in the form of columns, and then some rows of data with the retrospective data for each of those fields. So customer name or company name, their phone numbers, etc. And just sort of hovering around this report, then we've got the ability to search this report, break those customers down. You can edit On this right-hand side here, change the name, phone number, just sort of this quick glance little tab that pulls out from the side. You can add new companies from here as well. This little add icon, create companies from scratch there. Got a manual refresh, the option to share if there are other people that you want to share reports with. If you've done a filter or something like that, you can click on a user, enter a message and share that report to them. And then finally, within these three little dots is where most of the options are, most of the functionality hides. We've got the option to filter, select fields, group and summary and sort, which we'll go into depth a little bit later on, save and export, and then show on a map, which is quite a nice little feature that sort of gets hidden in here. We've actually got the ability to plot these customers on a map, and you can go down and click on who they are and see their RFM and such like that, and do some filtering as well. So just a nice little trick there. So that's just a bit of a taster for those. I'm assuming there is at least one person on here who's maybe brand new to Prospect and just signed up. So I just thought I'd walk you around a bit of the structure of what these reports look like. And even the veterans of the webinar, I'm sure, will take advantage of that little show on map feature as well. That's quite well hidden in there. So we're going to move on to another report, slightly more sort of a stepping stone, if you will, a bit of an advanced one. We'll look in sales, and you've got this report at the bottom there. And we're going to look at customers who bought X and not Y. This is a really useful report, especially if you're doing product launches or you're just trying to cross-sell across your existing customer base. This allows you to look for a specific product or a list of products within your customer's transaction data and say, show me all the customers who have purchased blueberry jam in this case, but never purchased strawberry jam. So this is just a nice short list of cross-selling opportunities. If I know John Smith has purchased that product before, and this is a similar product, I can go and contact him or do email marketing, do something to promote this product to him. And the last one I wanted to, one of the last ones I wanted to show you today in terms of the existing reports before we move on to building is the opportunities, just because this is quite nifty and quite new. So we've got very similar structure again, columns across the top, data respectively down. But in this top right, this time we have a view option where you can actually change to a Kanban view. So those familiar with working with Jira or Trello, even Monday.com, these other products that do sort of similar dashboards to this or similar reporting to this, this is sort of an interactive report based on your open opportunities. Gives it sort of a nice visual aid. We use this internally in our sales stand-ups every morning. We'll have a sort of a conversation, move these items around, make sure they're in the right status. And again, you can add filters here, filter these down to only the opportunities that you're looking at or you're looking after, or maybe you're the account manager of them, just so you get a bit of a sort of a functionality in just instead of that sort of columns, you can move things around a bit more dynamically there. Most of our reports are down this sort of left-hand side, and you'll see them in more reports, which I'll show you in a second. Some of our reports, however, are on customer sort of levels or contact levels. I just wanted to bring your focus away to a company over here. This is Mary Berry. You ever heard of that? And down this left-hand side, we have sales transactions, which shows you all of the transaction history we have in your account system or your ERP system. This demo data is connected to Unleashed. So we actually have a nice little option here to open these transactions and go and find that invoice. But this is just a history of everything that's gone through your account system. And then we interpret that using this sales analysis tab just down here. So this sales analysis tab shows you their RFM, gives you the last 365 days difference. So they're slightly down on their previous year, financial year to date, order frequency, sort of a map of when they've been making orders throughout the years, and then a bit of a sort of top product section down here to show you items by value, what they spend the most on and what they order the most, which is in this case the blueberry jam. We also have the magic matrix analysis. For those who don't know what that is, we have another webinar probably about 6 weeks ago now going into the magic matrix in some depth. So please go and find that. It's a really useful tool and it definitely is a report in its own, which is why it got its own webinar. So I wanted to, just before we start building reports, which is why most of you will be on the call today, is to actually just show you the interface for all reports. So across the top here, you've got favorites, and then you've got some options to search all the reports here. So all the reports you find in this left-hand side will appear just down here. You can search for them, click on the ones that are new, use the popular reports, frequently visited reports, and recent as well. And with these, you hover over it and click the star, you can actually favorite them to stop having to go and search for them each time. You can just favorite them up here so you get sort of instant access to them. So we're going to look at building those reports now. These are all examples of things that I've actually helped customers with myself over the last few weeks and months, things that they've come to us and asked for help for, and we've sort of pointed them in the right direction and taught them how to use this data to get what they're looking for. I've got 3 examples I wanted to share specifically. So to start a new report, I'm going to go to new report on this right-hand side. And the entity we're going to start with is a problem report. Get a bit of a preview here of some of the fields. Press next. So the scenario here is what the customer requested was they would like to learn more about the common problems they were having. So for those who don't use problems, it's sort of a customer service level of Prospect, where you can, if a customer calls up and they've got an issue because something's late or broken, we can log that and keep that history within Prospect. It's a really useful tool. And this is just an idea on how to report on this and make some good changes. So I'm going to have a look through some of these fields. We've got descriptions been added for us. I'm going to press show more on this right hand side and just go through some of these fields and add the ones I want. So I'm going to look for the status, see what status that report's in. We're going to add the type. We've got the description. We could add maybe who created it, created by, and some information from these levels. So whenever you see a little arrow, you can sort of drill down to another level of data. So these here are the problem levels and sort of information we hold at problem. And you can expand to a contact here, maybe get the contact name, and we'll open the company and get the company name too. So one thing to note is I've been sort of clicking around on this right-hand side. This often changes and will tell you a bit of information about the field there, where you can find it and system generated, yada, yada. Some of them will, more importantly, will have this toggle. And sometimes it'll be an editable field you can change from the report. Quite often it's something like the entity name. And what that means is because we've added 2 columns that are both name, so company name and contact name, instead of having 2 columns name, we're actually going to have company name if we turn that on and go back down to this one here. And that now enables it to show contact name. So just for a bit of clarity. You can reorganize these as you go. So grab the company name, drag that across to the left there, grab the contact name, make it into an order that makes more sense to you, maybe created by next, and hit next. So now we've got the sort of column set up. We know what we want. We now need to filter down to get the data we actually need. So in this instance, we're going to start with a filter. Dots in the top right-hand corner there. Going to go to filter, add a filter, and we're going to just use the status for this one. So I don't need to click show more because I can see the status here. And we're going to use a status. I only want the ones that are open. I'm not interested in the ones that are closed. I can either select all the ones I want, or it's actually easier in this case to say where the status is not closed. And I've got a few closing statuses, so I just want to filter out those 3. That now gives me a report of all the problems we've got that are open still. So we're getting there slowly. The next thing I want to do is actually group them by the status they're in. So maybe grouping and summary. We've got drag a field here to create a summary, drag one here to create a group. So we're going to use the status description and just drag that into the group and press submit. Now we're getting to sort of a more in-depth look at what's going on with our open problems here. And the customer originally wanted to know, as mentioned, what are the current problems? How do we stop having those problems, and what do we need to look into? Obviously, this creates friction for your customers, and that's not something you guys want. So if I click a few of these statuses open, you've got a few guys working on, so goods damaged on delivery, broken glass, camera in need of repair. We've got damaged products. We've got damage on delivery, damage on delivery, damage on delivery. Clearly, in this database at least, there is a problem with delivery. And being able to report on that allows you to make plans to improve that, whether you need more sufficient packaging or a different driver, maybe one who's less aggressive on the right pedal, and get those goods there that are not shattered to bits. And that's something through a report you can identify and make plans to change and rectify. So it's a nice, sort of an easy one to get us started. So the next report I have in mind is based on sales transaction. Got that one there. And go to new report again. If you can't see it straight away in this list, you can either hit show more and go down this whole list of all the things you can report on, or just search up here. So sales transaction, again, sales transaction is the data we sync from your ERP or account system. It could potentially go back, 10 years or more of all the transactions you've had line by line, and allows you then to break that data down. So we've got a few fields that have been added automatically for us, some common fields. These are generally speaking what you're looking for, so we've added them in for you. I don't need the invoice number or the order number. So for this scenario, just to explain, this is, again, another customer requested report. What they were looking for in this incident was all of the transactions for a specific product over the last 12 months. And they wanted to know who's been spending the most of all their customers on that item. And the reason for that was quite cool. They just wanted to springboard the launch of another product. So in this case, if I translate that to jam speech, they want to know all the products or all the customers buying blueberry jam because they're just about to launch their brand new raspberry jam. And using this data, they can contact customers who may be interested in sort of pivoting what they buy into that new product line. So pretty cool reason, and something that Prospect can do. So I've got base value description and transaction date. I need the product on here, so I'm going to show more. The product, if I just go down and drill down to the product level, we can use the name or the SKU. I'll use the SKU. Going to press next. Going to reorder this column, just move this SKU to this left-hand side. And then we need to, again, so we've got 6.5, well, nearly 7,000 rows of data on here. I'm sure many of you are going to have many, many more than that, but this just gives us a starting point of what we're looking for. So from here, we've added SKU. I'm going to search for the filter for SKU as well, because I'm only interested in people looking and buying blueberry jam. So add a filter. I'm just going to search up there for SKU. Update fields. And then the filter I'm looking for, or the SKU I'm looking for specifically, is blue. So now we've broken that data down again. We've got 1,100 rows of every time we've sold blissful blueberry jam to a customer. And again, I'm only interested in the last 12 months. We're going to add another filter in there. I'm going to use transaction dates and filter that. You've got a ton of options whenever you do stuff with date. You can sort of do tomorrow, today, in the future, in the past. We're just going to use in the last 12 months, should be plenty. Okay, so we're getting there now. 322 times or transactions this product has gone through over the last 12 months. I'm going to start adding a group. So another dynamic on this, adding a group. I want to know not only how much people have been buying, but who and what ledger these transactions have been going on to. So first of all, I'm going to get the invoice sales ledger and grab the name of that there. So we're going to group all of those 300 odd lines into what ledger they were each on. And because I'm interested in value, I'm going to look at the base value excluding tax again. I'm going to add that as a summary here. also add it as a summary there. So this summary box at the top summarizes the whole report, where this lower summary that I've added in, dragged a field just here, that summarizes each of these groups. And that looks like the following. So I now know there are 322 transactions, making up £718,000, excluding tax. And I can see that's broken down. So John Smith has purchased nearly 2,500, broken down into the following different transactions. And again, you can go back and add fields to this. You can get margins or the invoice number, whatever you need out of that data. The last thing I'm going to do, just to make this a little bit more legible, is actually go back to the grouping and summary, and you can actually sort these columns as well, or sort these groups. So I'm interested in seeing my best spender. So if I click that in descending order, it's going to show me the biggest spender at the top, working down. So press submit there. So the GBBO kitchen has made up almost 2/3 of the transactions for blueberry jam over the last 12 months. And then working down, obviously, you've got big spenders going into people who have, maybe purchased it once or twice. The reason for this report, as mentioned, the customer wanted a list of these people to reach out to them. They can get one of their sales guys to call Great British Bake Off Kitchen. And for those who are wondering what that meant, they can call them and say, you're a great customer for this. You've been buying a ton of it. We're about to launch this product. Would it be something you're interested in? And again, you can export this data from here, save it to Excel, make a calling list out of this. You can expand up to their company and get some phone numbers on here, do bits and pieces with it, and go and do a telemarketing campaign to promote that new product. So the last report I'm going to show you from complete scratch, at least, is an activity report. So discard. This is actually one that comes up quite a bit, and we do have a sort of a standard version of it that shows you what users have been doing. This is more showing you a live feed of what your guys have been doing throughout a whole day, a week, whatever you filter it to. So I'm going to add a report here. I'm going to use the activity. So next there, so the activity, just for those who don't know, on companies and contacts, quotes, you often have this activity just here. Your guys can go type some notes in there, press post. That's now a new note, and we're going to report on these notes. So again, we've got some fields. Going to add in date, text, type, the user, and then maybe we want where it's been posted again. So maybe we'll grab the company name. You could have the company, maybe the company account manager or something like that in there as well. Going to press next. Reorganize those columns into something that you're more sort of fond of. User, account manager. Make that make sense to you. And then what I want to do with this one is, instead of setting the filters for my users, I actually want to prompt them to fill the filters in themselves. And this just sort of offers a bit of flexibility, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So if I'm from here, then I'm going to add some filters, and I'm going to look for the user. If I want to see my own notes or another user's notes, I'm going to add a date, and maybe the company name as well, if I want to focus to a specific one of my customers, maybe. And what we're going to do, we're going to change that date quickly to be 2023. So we get our notes back. So instead of filling this out for my users, I'm going to actually heart all these, which favorites them. And what that does is, as we save this, these filters will now sit on this screen permanently. So we've got a notepad which shows all of the notes that have been made in 2023 at least. You could obviously filter that to daily if you're looking for a daily report, or weekly or something. But this is just showing everything in 2023. What we can also do here is, just to make this a little bit sort of more flush, if we click this date column, you can sort by the columns as well and get the most recent notes there. So there's the one I've just added in solid English, and you can see the last one we've added in sort of that feed, just like a Facebook or X as it's now called, newest at the top, filtering down as you go. With these filters in place, then if I'm only interested in the notes that I've made, I can quickly sort of pivot this list and just say, they're my notes. When you save this report obviously save this report before adding any filters, when the users click out of this report, it will reset back to standard. And then the next person or whoever's working on it at the same time can go and do whatever they're doing to look at their own notes. This is really useful and something we do as house as well. We're all guilty of putting something somewhere in Prospect, throwing a note in, and then completely forgetting where we've put it and who we spoke to. So we also have the ability to search this report as well. Any report can be searched. So if I search for the word jam or something, okay, so I can see that the last person that we spoke to about jam was an inquiry about the new Raspberry Jam line from Anna a few, 20 days ago. That might just be enough to, sorry, not from Anna, that's the account manager. It would have been from, I haven't added the contact, but it's on Mary Berry Limited. So I've spoken to someone at Mary Berry about the new Raspberry Jam line. Again, just prompting me to jog my memory and go and find out what I've spoken to them about, who I spoke to, and re-engage in that conversation. Maybe the line's just launched and I can go and speak to them about selling it now. So hopefully you're now seeing a bit of a pattern here. I'm just going to save this report as well. So when you're saving, you've got a couple of options. We'll call this, so name the report, put it in whichever these associate to the left-hand side, so whichever sort of folder and location makes sense to you. I'll leave it in other for now. And then you can choose to share it or save it for yourself. So I'll share this with everyone as well. That'll be a thing. That'll go and save itself now. You can go back to your sort of all reports here, look at the new ones, add it to your favorites, click back into it. We've got our filters here, and we can use that going forward. You can also export these reports, which I think I mentioned earlier. If you are looking to make changes on bulk, we've got the option to either bulk update within Prospect, or you can export to Excel, make some changes, and import back into Prospect as well. Just a few options there if you're looking to sort of manage data in bulk. Not something we're going to cover today, but something we might cover sort of next year going into our next webinar series. One item I haven't covered yet was collection filtering. And I don't want to build a report for this because it's a little bit complicated compared to the standard filtering, because you're essentially filtering a list of, in this case, we're going to do companies based on filters you're applying to another subset of data, so contacts or something like that. So I'll show you that now and just run with me on this. If I go to the companies report we were on earlier, add a filter, show more on company. So what this allows us to do is, instead of just filtering on specific fields like how many employees it's got or something like that, we can actually filter on the entirety of contacts, for example. And you get a slightly different style of filter here. Notice it's like a darker gray and straight under another field. So what we're going to look for is companies where any of the contacts, and we can have an email address maybe, where any of the contacts have an email address that is not empty. So I'm hoping that makes sense. I'll show you another example in a second, but give me a list of companies, but filter for companies where they have a contact that has an email address that's not empty. So there's something in that field. Another example of that might be, I think you can do documents on here as well. So we're going to show more on company again. And again, say, I want a list of companies. We find documents. I want a list of companies where any document has been created in the last specific month, something like that. There we go. So give me a list of any company where they have had a document created in the last 1 month, or this month, 2023. So I'm hoping that makes sense. Obviously, feel free to hit me up after this meeting or after this webinar. And if you've got any questions, you've got a live chat option as well. So in summary, we've built a few reports. hopefully it's probably important to highlight they're quite similar to build each time. You start from that entity, you build out from that entity, you can drill up and down those levels, coming up, filter, sort, group them, summarize them, and get that data. And they're all, like I said, very similar on how they built. I believe that brings us to the end. I have seen quite a few questions. Let me go back to our
Yes.
PowerPoint quickly.
Yeah,
I've
we've got
seen at
quite a
least,
few questions.
yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex, for that. But yeah, just a quick shout out. If anyone does any questions, do put them in the Q&A, because this is a great opportunity for us to answer them live. So yeah, do put them in. We do encourage questions. So yeah, Alex, do you want to fire off with the ones that have come in? So we've got one from Gwen. Where can I find a list of SKUs? Someone else sets them, so I have to dig around in other company records to find them.
So where can I find a list of SKUs? What else sets them up? I have to dig around. So we actually have a pre-made report for that. You can build a report if you'd rather. I can actually go back to the system and show you that on this left-hand side, we actually have products and services and then items. And this is just a list of all the products in your system with a list of SKUs there. So hopefully that answers that question. If that's not quite what you need, you can actually build a new sort of list from scratch if you're looking for other lists or other bits and pieces. Or with any of the standard reports like this, you can go and edit them anyway and add a filter or add some more fields as well.
We had one about collection filtering. I will send a guide, guys. There's a guide in the help box for collection filtering where we've given some, and Alex gave some really good examples there, but some further examples of when you might want to use collection filtering. And I think collection filtering is something that once you get your head around it, it's actually really, really useful. Certainly helped me in-house as well. And I think yeah, definitely something to wrap your head around and start using. So we've got a couple more. Like the report that is customers who bought X but not Y, but can you show one where it's all customers that bought X? So we do have a bought X report, don't we?
Yeah, so we have a similar one actually in reports. If I go to sales and into reports, we have customers who have not bought X, and I think you can actually just switch this round the other way.
Yes.
So yeah, you can play around with these filters here and actually switch this the other way, so where they have bought that item, or you go and do what we've done with that sales transaction report and just show sort of a list of customers that way. One more thing on that, if you're just looking for people who have bought an item, if you actually go and look for an item in specific,
So actually going to the product itself.
yeah, so on the product itself, on this left-hand side, we do have a product analysis as well, which shows you that sort of detail. So just wait for this to load a second, but it shows you sales analysis. It shows you who's been buying it, who the biggest customers are, top buyers, buying patterns, and when you're selling it and such like that. So yeah, we've got this. I believe this just goes back as far as the data will allow it to. So we've got £2 million worth on here. Who the best customers are, how much they've ordered in terms of quantity, value, and then buying patterns of, like, if you're looking for seasonality, you can sort of find that in here as well. So yeah, there are quite a few options if you just want a list of customers who have bought that product. Then we add Lisa as well. Is this sale, invoice, or an order? I'm guessing that come up at a specific part, Lisa, when I was doing the sort of demoing there. The truth is it can be either. You can either set the sale transaction to specifically look where items have been invoiced, or look at invoiced and orders. That is just applying a filter. So yeah, we can help you with that. That's no problem at all. I see Curtis on here as well. How do I know where to start building a report? Sometimes I'm looking for reports on products. I need one to start on sales ledger. Yeah, so Curtis has basically asked, how do I know where to start? And that is something we've been asked before. I don't know if we have a specific location or a document that says if you're building this report, start here, just because it's not always so black and white. And you can sort of get a similar report from multiple locations. So my advice on that would be just give us a shout if we've got the live chat, or drop us an email if you're looking to build a report on something. A simple message in the live chat will give you a rough idea on where to start, and the guys on there will help you sort of guide where you might need to go. So we had next. What's the easiest and best way to create a MailChimp report to allow me to see contacts who have opened and viewed our marketing campaign? I think, Jess, if I'm right, that's available on contact level, isn't it? You're the marketing expert of the two of us.
Yes. Yes, so exactly that. Yeah, so if you go
I'm not too sure how this is going to work with our demo account, but I'll try and look anyway. But on every contact, once you've got MailChimp connected, on this left-hand side, you actually have a marketing integration. I think it says MailChimp when it's connected.
It would, yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, so it's not actually connected, but you'll get a page here that says MailChimp. And from that, if you click on that, it will tell you what they've been sent, what they've opened, and you get the information that way. So I'll take a note of your name. I won't sort of call you out in the middle of a webinar, but I'll send you the guide on where you can find that as well. Okay, yeah, I'll send you some over some information for that also.
Yeah, I mean, because that would give obviously the data from that company and that contact specifically. But if you'd obviously want a wider report that just said, give me everything from, give me all interactions on all campaigns, we could create a report for you and you could just save that, and then it would just constantly refresh and update. So that's definitely possible. Alex, we'll make sure we pick that one up.
Yeah.
Okay.
What have we got here? So we've got So is there a way to add individual account managers to contacts so I can get a report on a particular list of contacts we want to connect specifically? Okay, so account manager, you're right, you've answered the sort of own question there. The account manager is at company level only, but you can use that filter and drill that down to contacts as well. So if you were to create a contact report, you can filter where the company account manager is Alex, for example, and that will change the list of contacts to only apply contacts where their account manager at company level is that person. So it's not at contact, so you can't have so if we have Mary Berry for the example here, there's 2 or 3 contacts underneath this company. You can't give different contacts on the same company different account managers. You'd have to apply the whole sort of company and account manager, and then those contacts underneath would be their contacts, if that makes sense. Okay, we've got a few more coming in. Can I compare this year's versus last year's reports of customers who have bought X? Probably not the standard one, but that is something you could do and build again. So you have to build a sales transaction report and filter that to a specific product. And then you can actually group that by the year, by the transaction date, and then look at it year on year. So yeah, we could do that. Might need to start with sales transaction cube is the entity. But again, that's quite a specific one, and I will happily help you with that one off screen, as it were. Just noting that down again.
There is just a follow up to that, Alex, that I think you might want to put down from Alex's request. Just to miss that. Just about the specifics there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we could look at that. That should be something we can explore. Yeah. Thanks. I'll follow up separately just so I won't drag everyone else into this webinar.
Gwen is also hoping for that MailChimp report, so we can definitely create that and then replicate for you, Gwen, no problem.
Yeah, of course.
So you can jot that down one as well, Alex. And then just looking for general year-to-date product report group of a group of SKUs. So I could see the best-selling products within that group of SKUs.
Okay, that's probably going to be another report we start from sales transactions. So that's quite a popular location for reports to be built, just because that's all the counts data that we sync across. So again, it'd be a sales transaction and then filtering to a specific product group, and then from there doing a grouping based on the SKU, similar to the report we just made. And then from that, you can summarize the amount there. So I appreciate that's a lot of information that I can blurt out in 20 seconds and it sounds easy. It's not. Just being being told. I appreciate that. So I will come back to you separately on that one as well, and maybe prepare a little sort of video or something on how to get that. But that, yeah, you should be able to get that from within sales transactions too. Just jot that down as well. Awesome. Another question here. So we have multiple brands. Can we run a complex report to show breakdown of every account monthly spend for each brand? Is that something we should do separately off screen? Potentially, I suppose it depends on how that data is structured. We have done that in the past. We've also had to resort to a more powerful tool. Some of you will know already, we have Power BI, and that's something we can integrate with. And Power BI sort of allows us to input information from Prospect, which obviously can also come through your account system, and strip that down in a more advanced way. So it might be something we can do. If not, we can definitely approach that with Power BI. So yeah, give us a shout if that's something you wanted to look at. We can definitely help and see what the options are. And we had, anyway, I can filter customers that were opportunities and now they are customers. I'm assuming we're talking about maybe the customer type or something, where they were this and they are this. I don't know if we can on that one. That one I'll need to explore. So I don't know if we record when something changes like that. We do, funny enough, we do that for changes of statuses for like opportunities, and if you change from buying to sold, we track that. But I'm not too sure if we have a field that tracks when you're changing the customer type. So yeah, let me follow up on that one as well. I'm not 100% sure on that one if that is possible, but I'll find out nonetheless. And then we had another person asking for the MailChimp report as well. Awesome.
Yeah, and it might be, guys, that come up a few times in this, and it might be that, we log that on the ideas portal to make it a standard report, and then it's just available for everybody.
It sounds like it.
I mean, it may already be in the ideas. It might already be in the ideas portal, and you can just upvote it. But if it isn't, definitely log it there as a bit of a suggestion, just to get it as a standard report, because as Alex said, there's lots of standard reports that you can use and pick up and then tweak as necessary, or you can start from scratch. But if this one's coming up a lot, then that'd be good as a standard report, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it shouldn't be a one that's particularly hard to make either. But yeah, don't quote me on that. I'll go find out before I.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because we have various marketing integrations, Spotler, Klaviyo, and Mailchimp, we probably would need to sort of create one for each of those, or at least for Klaviyo and Mailchimp.
Yeah, so that transfers between them and just makes sense for all the platforms. Yeah, that's fine. And then the final question as well was, is there any additional resource or support available for users looking for further guidance? So yes, so we've obviously got this webinar, and please feel free to forward this on to other colleagues once we've sort of built this out and got it on YouTube. We also have some documents for reports if you wanted some downtime to go through those. You are also welcome to purchase a one-to-one session or a group session if you wanted to, basically this webinar, but over a few hours going through some reports. That is an option and something we can sell a bit of time for if you're interested in that as well. And I think that was all the questions. So yeah, it was really good. Thank you for all the questions. That was probably got a bit of record, I think. So.
Yeah, and as Alex says, I'll share on in the follow-up all the guides, the report slides that we have that kind of show a lot of this again, but in step form if you want to go and have a look at those. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate your time. Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate you signing up and coming along. And yeah, Alex, I'll let you close out the session.
No, I was just going to say we've got one more webinar coming up this year in December, and then we'll be going into, obviously, I hope everyone has a lovely Christmas between now and then. But yeah, if anyone would like to sign up to the December's one, please do, and then we'll catch you in the new year for some more.
Great. Thanks, Alex, and thanks everyone for joining.
Great. Thank you all. Take care of yourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.